it going, folks? Zach from Uchuu Shelf here. Hope you guys are doing good and reading lots of manga. Today, we're going to jump into the manga adaptation of one of my favorite light novel series and anime series, and that's Bakemonogatari, written by NisioisiN, drawn by Oh Great, who you might be familiar with Tenjo Tenge and Air Gear. So given that I've had a ton of free time lately, can't go outside, to read manga, I've read through the first 3 volumes of Bakemonogatari's manga adaptation. I'm going to give you guys my first impressions of that. Before we get into it, I want to give a huge shout out not only to Vertical for printing this, but for sending me volume 3. Super kind of them, got it to me right before all this went down, so kudos to you guys. Thanks again. And yeah, let's jump into the manga of Bakemonogatari. The Monogatari series follows Koyomi Araragi, a third-year high schooler who has just survived a chance encounter with a legendary vampire over the past spring break. The series follows his chance encounters with various young women who have been possessed and haunted by various spirits, apparitions, ghosts, things of that nature, all while dealing with his own lingering side effects of his vampire encounter. A lot of the charm in Monogatari relies on not only the myriad of really cute anime girls, although let's just get this out of the way, best one right here, and best boy. Also, the interactions between these various characters. It's a very dialogue-focused story, something that doesn't rely on action. The series also heavily relies on Japanese wordplay, which, you know what, kudos to the translators. I'm not, I don't speak Japanese, I don't read Japanese very well, but, I can't imagine that's an easy thing to translate and to adapt into English, so, I haven't noticed any problems, so kudos to you guys. Really good job. Now, the first 3 volumes of the manga cover the first 2 arcs of the franchise, of the anime, the light novels, so on and so forth. That's Hitagi Crab, which focuses on Hitagi Senjogahara, and Mayoi Snail, which focuses on Mayoi Hachikuji. Now, to briefly explain these 2 arcs, the first arc, Hitagi Crab, follows Senjogahara as she first meets Araragi. So as Araragi is walking upstairs in school, he notices a young girl falling, he reaches out to catch her and realizes that she doesn't weigh anything. And it's somewhat of a metaphor for a Japanese folklore where a crab will steal your weight, and I believe it's something to do with if you're carrying a burden and you don't want to hold on to it anymore, you want to just push it off to someone, so this crab, or I think it's a crab, will come and take your weight, and then you will basically be weightless, but you also won't be carrying this burden anymore. Now, the first arc sets up a lot of the world building. We also get to meet Meme Oshino as well as Shinobu. We get to learn a little bit more about how Araragi became a somewhat half vampire, if you will. Just get to learn more about the mysticism and everything that comes with this world. Now, eventually, through an exorcism, Senjogahara is rid of the crab. She gains her weight back. Next arc, Mayoi Snail, is when Araragi is out, he comes across a young girl named Mayoi Hachikuji. She's lost, she can't get home, she's pretty upset about it. With the help of pretty much every character we've met this far, everybody decides to help Araragi, to help Hachikuji find her way home. There's a little bit of a twist in it, not going to spoil what it is, but it really dives more into the mysticism of the world, which I think is just bloody cool. It's just one of the main selling points of this series for me. Volume 1 adapted the entirety of Hitagi Crab, Volume 2 and 3 adapted the entirety of Mayoi Snail, and I knew that both of these have a bit of different pacing. I wasn't sure how the pacing was going to work with manga. Admittedly, Hitagi Crab's adaptation in the first volume alone felt a little bit rushed, a little bit quick-paced, but the more I thought about it, this might be due in part to the fact that it takes a little bit longer to read a light novel than it does manga, and the fact that there's just a different kind of pacing that comes with the anime that I think I might be more familiar with. But really, the first volume containing the entirety of Hitagi Crab, I think actually worked really well. It kind of wrapped everything up quite effortlessly. Now, I can go on about just how beautiful the art is, and I probably will. You know what? Let's go on about how beautiful the art is. Now, as someone like myself who isn't the biggest fan of fan service in anime and manga, going into a manga by Oh Great is kind of like going up to a beehive and shaking it if you're allergic to bees. And of course, I knew this going into the manga, having read Oh Great's Air Gear and Tenjo Tenge, and I was a little bit worried that he was going to do that with Monogatari. I knew there were some kind of lewd scenes and fan servicey scenes. I mean, some of the scenes with Senjogahara, the proof is in the smile. I mean, it's not even just like the panty shots and the semi-nudity, it's the fact that we get to see Senjogahara, best girl by the way, wearing this gothic Lolita dress, and it's like, yeah, that's all you can say is, Now, what I enjoyed the most about the art in the manga is the fact that he draws all of these apparitions and spirits and everything as these semi-tribal, just intricately designed monsters. And he also has this iconography for all of the girls who have different spirits and things haunting them, just that are beautiful, like things I would actually get tattooed, like, may get this one tattooed. We'll see. Now, as with any ongoing series, I'm always worried that the quality in the art and the storytelling is going to take a nosedive as the volumes go on, but I am happy to say that volumes 2 and 3 retain the exact same level of quality as volume 1. The art continues to just be consistently top-notch throughout. Characters are quite expressive without relying on all that visual humor and visual aspects that Shaft peppered throughout the anime, most notably the head tilt. which you all might be familiar with. But there were just a few scenes that really stuck out to me in volumes 2 and 3. First being when Araragi forms this sort of contract after he asks for Mayoui's name. Just all the art and everything that symbolizes the importance of a contract and the importance of names, especially with spirits and apparitions, was just this beautifully chaotic art. It was just gorgeous. Like, I can't even get over how great it was. There were also some flashbacks to Araragi's spring break, which were really nice to see as well, specifically his first encounter with Kiss Shot and his fight against Dramaturgy, which, quick side note, I really hope the manga adapts Kizumonogatari at some point, because it is honestly, that's my favorite story. That's my favorite part of Monogatari, is the origin of Araragi, how he gets into this world and everything. And it has a 3-part movie from Shaft, just fantastic, top-notch movies, which you guys should check out if you can. There was also a small bit at the end of the second volume that showcased a snail shell as just this massive, expansive maze, which I thought perfectly symbolized Mayoui being a young child just trying to find her way home. But perhaps my favorite scene in all of these 3 volumes so far was Senjo Gahara's confession scene to Araragi. It was big and it was bold, and there's a lot of weight that is carried with a confession. There's a lot of weight in telling someone that you love them for the first time, and it was just perfectly represented. He carried it over the course of multiple pages, and you just felt the weight of all of her emotions just being spilled out on all those pages. I also want to give a shout out to the varying range of just different Mayoui Hachikuji faces. Just absolutely hilarious, perfectly spot on. I'm gonna be honest, I was skeptical going into this. I wasn't sure how Monogatari was going to transition into a manga. Like, it works perfectly as a light novel. The anime is just fantastic. It's just unparalleled. It's very different from a lot of anime out there. But honestly, putting this series in the hands of Oh Great, best decision I've ever seen in manga in quite some time. Like, there is no other artist who I think could accurately depict the characters, accurately portray the world, and just perfectly represent the mysticism and spirituality that comes with the Monogatari series. Much like the series overall, the manga has the right amount of everything for everyone, all the right things in all the right places, and adapts it in a way that makes it feel like the definitive version of the series. The final verdict, volumes 1 through 3 of Bakemonogatari by Oh Great and Nisioisi, released here in the West by Vertical, I definitely recommend. I would go so far as to say that if you want to get into the Monogatari series, the manga is the perfect way to do so. But I think it's a little bit more digestible and palatable than, say, the sheer length of the light novels, or for the fact that the anime has a very weird aesthetic that you might just not enjoy. But yeah, we'll wrap it up there. Thanks again to Vertical for sending me volume 3 of Bakemonogatari. And yeah, volume 4 should be coming out soon, if not later in the year. I'll leave links in the description for all of these down below, including volume 4, where you can possibly pre-order it. Before I go, as always, don't forget to support legal manga. Go to www.wherecanIreadmanga.com to get the lowdown on where you can read manga for free, through a subscription or per volume. Do it all in a way that benefits the manga industry and helps us get more manga like these. But until next time, folks, happy reading.